Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, January 17, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the days been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future other than your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro model that came out at 3:30 p.m. today, as well as the latest GFS model that came out at 6 p.m. So focus your attention across Jamaica and focus your attention on the timestamp right here at the top. As we go to the next 168 hours, that's the next 7 days. And look out for all of this that we see on the key on the right. The reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be happening. We can see that as we head into Saturday, most of the moisture seems to be right here to the south of Jamaica, across the southwestern Caribbean, to the south of Hispaniola, into portion of the eastern Caribbean as well. Heading into Sunday, we are starting to see some amount of moisture, especially across the eastern end right here. We also see some moisture still plaguing the southwestern Caribbean to the south of Puerto Rico right there as well. Heading into Monday now, look at this. We see some moisture right here across the southwestern Gulf, between the Yucatan and Cuba, right here across the southern portion of Florida. Some moisture as well across portion of southern and eastern parishes in Jamaica. Very interesting. We also see some moisture right here across southwestern Caribbean still, as well as some moisture across the southeastern and eastern Caribbean. Tuesday, what we're seeing is some dots of greens across the northern portion of the island, but we see most of the moisture to the south of us. We also see an abundance of moisture across the Gulf of Mexico into portions of Florida right there, reaching all the way over into the east coast of the United States, especially offshore right there. Even as we head into Thursday, we see that we're still going to be getting in some amount of rainfall across the western Caribbean, the southwestern Caribbean. We also see some rainfall across the eastern Caribbean right there. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Friday, January 24, 2025. And we can see that there's going to be some moisture across Texas, the western Gulf, sections of Florida. Still have some moisture across the waters of the Caribbean, stretching from Honduras, Nicaragua, eastward, across the southern Caribbean into the ABC Islands and the Windward Islands for the most part. Excuse me. Let us match this latest Euro model to the latest GFS model and see if we have any agreement. Heading into Saturday, we see that moisture that's going to be plaguing the southwestern Caribbean, like what the Euro was showing, stretching all the way over into the central and eastern Caribbean for sure. Heading into Sunday, we see that moisture across eastern Jamaica, just like what the Euro was showing. Heading into Monday now, very interesting. We see some moisture across the western Caribbean, the southwestern Caribbean, the southeastern and eastern Caribbean right there. Tuesday, not much of anything, maybe some isolated showers across central and western parishes. We also see that abundance of moisture that we saw in the Euro for portions of the Gulf of Mexico, the southern and the southeastern United States. Heading into Florida, some bad weather is heading their way next week for sure. Excuse me. Heading into Thursday, we see not much of anything across the Jamaica area. We do see some moisture stretching from the Dominican Republic all the way over into the eastern Caribbean, the southwestern Caribbean, and the western Caribbean, still getting plagued with some moisture. But by Friday, we see that there's not much change with that. And when we compare the Euro to the GFS, we have some similarities and we have some differences. The similarities include the fact that the southwestern Caribbean, into portion of the central to the southeastern Caribbean, should be getting in some amount of moisture. But in terms of the differences, clearly we see that where we have all of that moisture across Texas and the Western Gulf, we don't have that on the GFS at all. What we see, however, is a lot of moisture right here off the east coast of the United States. Either way, whatever happens, we can see in terms of the accumulated precipitation forecast, the most in due for rainfall over the next 7 days should be where we see all of these dark reds, purples, and pinks. Excuse me. And we can see from the key on the right that all of that represents up to 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, heading into the 3 to 5 inches of rainfall range. And even the pinks and the peach colors represent anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. And we can clearly see that the most in due for rainfall over the next 7 days should still be plaguing the waters of the Gulf of Mexico, southern Florida, section of Central America, including the Yucatan, Guatemala, Belize, section of Honduras getting in on some of the action. We also see some rainfall right here across sections of southeastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama right there. Excuse me. We can also see some amount of moisture right here across the eastern Caribbean all the way down into portion of the Windward Islands, sections of northern Venezuela, western Venezuela, section of Colombia, into portion of the ABC Islands getting in on some of the rainfall too. And when we compare this latest Euro accumulated precipitation forecast map to the latest GFS, we see something similar. Clearly we see that the most rainfall should be plaguing southeastern portion of Nicaragua into Costa Rica. We even see a lot of moisture right there across sections of Trinidad and Tobago, even portions of northeastern South America getting on some of the action, anywhere from Guyana, Suriname into French Guyana. And we see that both the Euro and GFS models are in consensus with that forecast. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, in terms of the close-up of Jamaica, we can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be across eastern Jamaica for sure. We're talking about Portland, St. Thomas. We see the dark blues into the greens, the Euro going all the way up to 39 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS a bit more reserved, showing only up to those greens represent maybe 15 to 20 millimeters of rainfall. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and excuse me, whatever takes place, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. Excuse me. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we have numerous troughs and frontal systems all the way stretching from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the Greater Antilles, the central to the southwestern Caribbean. And we have the usual ridges of high pressure that are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic for the sun window, we can make out all of these entities. First of all, we can definitely make out the clouds associated with the numerous troughs, as well as the numerous frontal systems, all the way from the northern portion of the North Atlantic, all the way down into portions of the Bahamas, the Caribbean right there. We see a lot of clouds pushing through the waters of the Caribbean for sure. And we also see an abundance of moisture across the Bahamas into southern Florida as well. Excuse me. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, January 17, 2025. If you remember yesterday's video, we highlighted that especially the Euro model was adamant that northern parishes would have received some morning rainfall on Friday, and that section of eastern and central parishes would have received some afternoon rainfall. Either way, we know northern parishes. We're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And let us find where central and eastern parishes. We know central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. And, eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. And what ended up happening? Although we didn't have a post being made on our social media platform today, we definitely saw some clouds bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, especially to section of some northeastern parishes. We're talking about St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And then, if you look closely, we actually saw some clouds coming in from the east, and some of these clouds definitely had some amount of isolated showers within them, Some of these clouds push towards west into portion of St. Thomas. And we even had some buildup of clouds across section of the cockpit country, Hanover, and sections of Westmoreland too. So I guess we could say that it kind of verified, with most of the clouds across the far eastern end, the northeastern portion of the island, and western Jamaica for sure. Even although western Jamaica wasn't forecast to get much in the way of rainfall at all. And we definitely have confirmation from See Jamaica's YouTube channel of what the weather was like at around 3:55 p.m. We can see that for the most part it was overcast. People in their vehicles right here going about their business. People on the sidewalks going about their business as well. And I'd like her to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Excuse me. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, let us see where we actually had something take place today. Well, clearly not much of anything took place at all. Maybe some isolated showers in the hilly interior section of the island, but that's basically it. Not much in the way of rainfall took place today at all. And if we take a look at the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website about what's happening right now across the island, we can actually make out some milky white colors that represent some cloud cover across section of eastern Jamaica as we speak. But do we have rainfall within those clouds? Let us match that latest satellite imagery to the latest Doppler radar and look at this. It's actually verifying. So the latest Doppler radar imagery is as of 8:20 p.m. So that just came out 5 minutes ago, considering that it's 8:25 p.m. right now. And look at what we're seeing off to the east of the island and the south of the island. And it's definitely having to do with all of these clouds that we're seeing for sure. We see some greens into the yellows that represent some amount of moderate to slightly heavy rainfall out to sea as we speak. Some of this rainfall could definitely linger or meander and come onshore across eastern Jamaica. I live in St. Thomas, so whatever occurs, I'll definitely keep you posted if we actually get some rain over here. Even the Doppler radar imagery from the Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar Station is showing some of that isolated shower activity across eastern parishes, especially to the east of the island too, but not seeing much activity across western Haiti or eastern Cuba. Even the Cayman radar not showing much activity across southern Cuba, the Cayman Islands, or western Jamaica at this time. But if we take a look at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can see that it's going to be a fair night. Well, for at least for now. Don't know what the rest of the night holds, if some of that rainfall might make it westward into portion of Kingston and St. Andrew. But right now we see people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business at this very hour, 8:27 p.m. So one can only assume, especially considering that it's a dry season, that this will continue with the fair conditions across that parish. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see we have 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 21 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Saturday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Saturday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors. That represents all the way up to maybe 2, maybe even 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of January across Jamaica, basically around 86.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's about 30.2 degrees Celsius. So given the colors that we see here, it should be anywhere from 30 to 32, maybe even all the way up to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Saturday. And we're indeed grateful that according to my JPS Online's Twitter page, we don't have any maintenance outage advisories out for any parish for Saturday, January 18 at all. And we're indeed grateful for that, because we know that when we have power outages, it can definitely make the heat feel worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So we're grateful that nothing's going to be taking place tomorrow in terms of power outages. Either way, if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, we have some tips here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing, and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioning. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of drinking lots of water throughout the day, even if you're not thirsty. Stay hydrated as much as possible. So not much change in the dry ear map. We know the dry ear is represented by all of what we see on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And clearly we have a lot of dry air stretching all the way across the entire Atlantic basin in general. And we know the dry air is responsible for, putting a cap on the atmosphere. Lots of sinking air, making it definitely hard for it to rain for sure. So that is why it is so dry these days. Trust me, if we had more blues, we would have had more cloud cover, more moisture, more rainfall. But boy, these days, definitely dry for sure. But we're indeed grateful that we're not seeing that brown that represents the Saharan dust. We're seeing some slight tints or shades of it across the main development region as well as section of the Eastern Caribbean, but that's basically it. And this is the forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, and we're grateful because we don't want to see that vigorous plume as represented by the dark brown color that we know can cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. So we're glad that the Saharan dust is chilling as we speak. But in terms of the wave forecast for tomorrow, clearly we see the light shades of blues across the Western Caribbean that represents anywhere from 0 to 0.5 meter wave height. We're seeing the darker shades of blues in and around the Central to the Eastern Caribbean, representing anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. Even the purples are represent up to 2 to 3 meter wave heights right here to the south of Haiti, to the south of Jamaica, to the north of Colombia. But if you take a look at Jamaica now, the waters to the north, 1 meter wave height expected. On the south, 1.4 meter wave height expected. So the fisher and marine interest will definitely like that. And all of these wave heights are because of the winds that are expected. Clearly, we see more of an east-northeasterly flow across the Eastern Caribbean, curving more westward across the Central to the Western Caribbean, curving northward across the Northwestern Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico right there. And we see the colors. We see the dull greens into the bright greens across the Gulf of Mexico. We see the bright greens into the yellows across the Central to the Eastern Caribbean. All of that representing 10 to 15 to 20 knots, even gusting to 25, maybe as much as 30 knots. Definitely going to be windy in some spots, especially across the Leeward Islands tomorrow. But if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding these winds, we definitely see more of an easterly flow that's going to be expected for sure, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 knots at most, especially out to sea. Definitely going to be stronger than that, maybe all the way up to 20, maybe gusting to 25 knots for sure. And if we have some isolated afternoon rainfall, well, if we didn't have all of this dry air, I'm pretty sure that would have had some daytime heating leading to some isolated showers across inland areas of some central parishes and even sections of some western parishes. Who knows, maybe we might just get that because we definitely had it today, so we might just get it tomorrow afternoon. And with the upper level winds coming in from the west, if we get some cumulonimbus clouds in the upper levels of the atmosphere, those high cold cloud tops will be sheared off towards the east. Taking a look at the rain forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS and that map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing 8 a.m. on Saturday. And we can see some consensus. We're seeing some dots of blues represent some isolated shores in and around the eastern end of the island for sure. Maybe St. Thomas and Portland. We're going to be getting something from off the eastern winds. But by about 4 p.m. now, you see some dots of blues across hilly inland areas of some central and the western parishes on the Euro. GFS more reserved, maybe across maybe the eastern portion of central Jamaica. And we see that most of the moisture for tomorrow afternoon should be off out to sea to the southeast of us. We'll see exactly what unfolds if any of this comes on land. Either way, in terms of the accumulated precipitation forecast, both maps from the Euro and the GFS are not showing much in the way of rainfall. Clearly, the most rainfall should either be across the eastern end or out to sea to the southeast of us. And we see the colors representing from 0.1 all the way up to 0. Maybe 2 of an inch of rainfall. Not much rainfall expected at all these days. We know the drill. It's the month of January. It's the dry season. In Kingston, this bar graph is being shown right here at the top. We usually receive up to 20 millimeters of rainfall. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to 3 inches of rainfall for the month. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the entire month of January or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com and that website to show you that information. And you can use this light graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters that we receive on the rain gauge. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the calculation to yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have a lot of moisture, lots of clouds, showers and thunderstorms across sections of eastern and South America, as we can see here, most of which should be associated with the intertropical convergence zone. We can also see a lot of clouds pushing in from the east, lots of moisture within those associated with the numerous frontal systems and the troughs across those areas. Leeward and Windward Islands definitely getting it as we speak. We can also see the abundance of clouds, showers and thunderstorms across sections of Florida and the Bahamas too. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let us see what's happening down there. If this Doppler radar will work for me, will it work? Alright, looks like it's not going to be working for me at all. But taking a look at the Barbados radar, we do see a lot of moisture passing through from the east to the west, or from the east northeast to the west southwest. We see some of this, maybe hit or miss isolated shores pushing towards Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, getting in on some of the rainfall as we speak. So to section of Tobago, not so much Trinidad, maybe later on tonight into tomorrow for sure. Let's see what's happening across the rest of the Leeward Islands. Alright, there we go. We can definitely see some moisture plaguing eastern and northern Puerto Rico as we speak. We also see some moisture in and around Antigua and Barbuda. But if we load these images from earlier today, we can see where we've been getting some isolated showers passing through the US and British Virgin Islands. Some moisture to the north of Puerto Rico, some moisture to the east of Guadeloupe and Dominica. But if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some moisture passing through the ABC Islands, especially to the north of there. We can see some moisture to the east of Nicaragua, as well as that moisture pushing in from the southwest to the northeast associated with that frontal system across sections of Florida and the Bahamas. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, since it's already falling now, it's definitely going to be continuing over the next 24 hours for sure. Across areas like Florida, the Bahamas, sections of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, Dominica, Martinique, sections of Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. We also see some rainfall in store for sections of the ABC Islands, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua for sure. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.